molecules, H2O, soak up the electrons and get bigger until they turn into a gaseous form of water that is not water vapor or steam. It's called a plasma. You've got four states of matter. You've got a solid, liquid, gas, which is water vapor, steam. The liquid is obviously water. You've got ice. And then over here we have plasma. Now this is a negatively charged, cold plasma form of water. And that is in the hydroxide, which isn't in the normal pure, what they call molecular hydrogen electrolyzer. Hydrogen is good. But quite often what happens when people are ill, they've depleted their energy reserve. They've depleted the amount of electrons available inside the body. Their energy generation systems have become compromised due to all the different things that happen when you are hydrogen deficient. Extra energy really therapeutically helps the hydrogen do its job. The body can heal a lot faster when it's given not only the hydrogen, which is the building block of life, but also the energy necessary to move the building block into where it needs to go. All the hundreds of chemical processes that happen in the body. Since we're mostly made of...
Today we're looking into everything. I've been chatting with ChatGPT and deep diving into the truth of everything. I'm currently working on a website where I'm building it up, providing it all.
Of hydrogen. There is no thing that goes on in the body that doesn't involve hydrogen in one way or another. The final point I'll make right now is that when you're hydrogen deficient, several things happen in the body. The body is very good at staying alive, at just doing what it needs to do. An example that most people know is when the body starts to get cold, and the blood flow will shut off to the limbs to keep core temperature. And so the body just automatically does these things. It's evolved to do these things. So when you're deficient in hydrogen, the first thing the body shuts off is the regeneration system, stem cells and things like that. So the body will just patch itself because that takes a lot less energy than actually healing.
The SHIP-2 hybrid beaks also were created to serve the system. And one of the things that they were extremely good at was manipulating the stone cutting machinery. They became master stone cutters. They could use the equipment and cut blocks so square, so precise, when you fit them together, you couldn't flip a piece of paper cleaner. The stone cutters, as a matter of fact, and Lil and Chris Ada actually used some of the SHIP-2 before they even created the beak. In other words, there were SHIP-2 hybrids on planet Earth working for the Syrian king and now for Ra even before man was born. The SHIP-2, this is the key. The administrators of Ra, the reptilian queen's insurance that Ra would always obey. Ra, he's a centric sucker who comes in and says, I am from now on the one and only God. And we have proof. We can show that Ra went in, he changed the hieroglyphs, he changed stone inscriptions, he changed the sea lakes, he changed the pyramid inscriptions to make himself the one and only God. From that moment that he took the throne, there would be no other God before him. He eliminated the existence of any other Syrian king or any wolf king. No one existed before Ra. He changed the record.
In 2012, 25-year-old Sam was kidnapped and held for 10 days, and his parents were assaulted by staff at a Brisbane hospital, all on the advice of a psychiatrist and without any consultation. Sam has a history of food intolerances. He'd been working as a cadet officer on a ship, and after a voyage of about a month, his mum met him at the dock and was shocked at how much weight he'd lost. He lost so much weight because there was very little food he could eat on the ship. His mum took him to a Brisbane hospital just for a checkup, and they were forced to wait in a back room for hours. Sam's dad arrived in the evening and asked what was happening, and he was told by staff they didn't know. Eventually, a nurse came out and gave Sam a tablet to take. He was told it was a muscle relaxant. Sam said he didn't want to take it because he was intolerant of so many substances that he might have an adverse reaction. And that was the beginning of the horror story. What happens next is incomprehensible. The nurse told Sam if he didn't take the tablet, he'd be given an involuntary injection. So Sam and his parents decided to get the hell out of there, which I think we'd all do, right? But when they tried to leave, the doors were locked, an alarm sounded, and 6 security guards appeared out of nowhere. Sam's dad was thrown on the floor and handcuffed. His wife was put in a chokehold, and Sam was physically restrained. Sam's parents were forcibly removed from the building and told not to come back. It took 10 days for the hospital to release Sam, and it was only after the intervention of doctors who treated him for his food intolerances. Sam's dad told us that during those 10 days, he came to realise he was dealing with a bunch of self-righteous idiots, and it's impossible to disagree. This didn't have to happen. All the psychiatrist needed to do was have a conversation with Sam, and they would have found out the weight loss was because he had food intolerances. It had nothing to do with his mental health. It was because he'd been stuck on a ship for a month. Sam's dad lodged a complaint with his local member, but he was told the system had worked as it was supposed to. That's bullshit. It's not how the public expects the system to work at all. The public doesn't expect a mentally competent young man to be kidnapped for 10 days without any consultation because he has food intolerances. It seems incredulous that someone could be locked up without consultation or consideration of their medical history, right? Justice Matters intends looking into this to see if the hospital violated the policy at the time. And if it turns out that the hospital acted against policy, then we'll be calling on the current Health Minister and Premier to ensure the individuals responsible are prosecuted for kidnapping and assault. And if the current politicians avoid their responsibility, they could be prosecuted for offences related to abusing public trust. This story could get interesting, and we'll keep you posted.
A peace officer yelling at the crowd to move back, get away from the door, while onlookers are stunned. Watch as you see a woman in a brown jacket running alongside a moving shuttle bus, with a massive group of bus users chasing down the bus in an attempt to board it. In response to the scene of the Franklin LRT station, Calgary Transit says in a statement, as soon as we are made aware of a situation, Calgary Transit promptly deploys shuttles to assist customers. In this case, 13 shuttles have been deployed. Transit ambassadors are also on site, helping customers with wayfinding and directing them to the shuttle. During the mad rush to catch a bus, this man says this is something he's seen before.
I'm in my homeland like this.
Yeah. As a reminder of your homeland. Where's your homeland?
Punjab.
And this is like this?
Yeah.
I'll tell y'all a true story. Be simple. Watch this video to the end. Something is going on at the port of Vancouver. TikTok is for entertainment purposes only. Let's go.
There's people screaming there every night.
What?
I've heard it for myself. The city's trying to cover it up, trying to get everybody out of here.
No way.
There's all these people are not fucking men.
What did you say? Ah! We've been hearing about this for a while, actually. But now somebody just goes back. Stop playing with me! Son, it's not a game on you guys. They didn't show you. And obviously, they just told you. What you think? You think they were delivering goods? Not only that, it's not a game on you guys. Have you been on support? Remember, we've been getting a lot of so-called threats that the ports are going to shut down. Well, if this is going on, the ports ain't never shutting down. Stop playing with me, son. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only, and I'm only saying what that lady was saying in the video, because actually I didn't say anything. It's not a game on you guys. Oh, and you don't know what I'm talking about? Come on. You said don't you ever speak about it. Come on. So many things going on out here. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game on you guys. You know what it is. But I tell you one thing, if I'm ever down at the ports and I hear somebody screaming out of one of those containers, I'm gonna go to see who's controlling that ship, man.
Imagine the only way was to see how bad it really could get before the truth can prevail.
As you can see, this is now my third account on TikTok. Is it coincidental? No. Because I'm now becoming a threat to the Australian establishment, really. And unfortunately, we no longer live in a democratic society. We live in communist Australia, where if you are a threat to someone else's speech or electing someone back into Parliament, you'll be shut down. And that's exactly what's happening today. So the thing is, my account started only late June, and I got up to 35,000 followers on my political views alone. But what they were showing on my page for another account, there was something like 23,000 followers. So I put in a report last night saying, why is it showing that I have 35,000 followers plus on my page? But if I was to jump on someone else's page, it's 23. But it also showed that I had something like 205,000 likes. However, on my page, it was over 1 million likes. Please explain. And then I got shut down. See, I also got shut down because I have political parties in Australia that are threatened by me. Because I don't hold back, and I don't people please, and I don't sugarcoat shit for anyone. What you see is what you get. And that's what the Australian public wants. That's what the rest of the world want now. We're not interested in people that are spin doctors. People that will say everything to get elected. but never followed through. I will say what I want to say. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry to hurt your fucking feelings. But I am over bullshit and I'm over attacks in this country. So, when you go to elections and you do decide to vote for me, it's because you're voting for someone who's lived in the community, knows what's going on, and is totally sick to death of what our government is doing. Now, I gauge all my followers on my political views, and not because I'm dancing, and not because I'm doing pranks on people that are harmful most of the time, but people think it's funny, because that's what the establishment wants you to behave like. They want you to sit in these little states of mind where you're not a critical thinker. You're not a part of society that's going to make it better, that's going to make it grow in the direction that we all want it to grow. They want you to stop thinking while they take control of censorship. They want to control the narrative. Now people, don't forget, if the story is true and it's only 6 to 10 people that's controlling the narrative around the world, why the fuck is billions of people allowing these people to continue this narrative? We outnumber these 6 to 10 people. And have we seriously become the society that allows this to continue when we outnumber these people that continue to push the narrative because of wealth and money? You know, before wealth and money came along, people had principles, people had morals, people stood for something. So it baffles me that people continue to allow this corruption to go on in 2024. Seriously, people, cut the bullshit, stand up, do not be censored, and fight back. I am not allowing the Australian government to censor my voice. And I ask that you guys follow, because I need your voices, your support, and your vote for the next federal election in Australia. Because by fuck will I be standing by and allowing other parties to try and silence my voice. No fucking way is that going to happen. And I hope that I have a lot of Australian supporters, especially in the Perth district, that's going to vote for me in the next federal election. So do me a favour, hashtag my name on a new post under freedom of speech. Hashtag Madison King _13 at TikTok, or at Madison King _Foxy. Thanks for the follow, thanks for the comments, and don't forget to repost, because our story hasn't ended, and nor has Tommy Robinson, and nor has Le Pen in France, because it's time that we rise above our government.
All the angels are gone, son. There's only devils left.
Michael Jackson, as he was my friend in 1997, gave me all these free tickets to go to his show.
Kind of obvious that he's recording it over. That's a TV he's
He
looking
gave
at.
me and my friends all tickets to go to his show in
You can see it.
1997. As you can tell right there, it says 1997. They have the
Oh
seal on them
god,
and
why do people
everything.
believe
Let
this
me show
shit?
you a conversation I had with him on the phone. Guys, it's 2006. Let me call Michael Jackson.
Hello?
My brother from another mother. This is Michael, right?
Michael Jackson.
Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing? That's what I'm doing. I have some cookies in the oven.
How do you like the smell? Is it good?
Damn right, damn right. But I didn't follow the instructions on the back of the box of the cookies, so I don't know if they're going to come out exactly the way they... Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know, I'm going to eat those cookies in bed, but if those damn cats, man,
If
I got
anyone
to go off
believes
the
this
bed.
shit,
What's wrong with
you
that?
really need
Well,
help.
you know what it is they get on the bed, they're not there to cuddle with me, they want my cookies.
Of course.
Yeah, so. Hey, Michael, I always wanted to ask you something. When you're on stage, has it ever been to a point where you needed to use the restroom really bad while you were up there?
One time I asked to use the restroom. It stunk so bad. There was steaming feces thrown all over the walls.
Damn, that's rough, bro. Hey, who's your favorite artist to share the stage with?
Diana Ross, Daniel Lewis, bro.
No kidding. Have you talked to
I
Macaulay
can't
Culkin?
tell that that's AI
cool, bro.
chatbot that he's talking to, then you have
he's not doing
issues.
many movies these days. He's kind of chilling in the background. Hey, bro, I'm gonna have to call you back, okay? Let me call you back.
Why even bother going to the
This
lengths
mayor
to make that
used
shit?
his private jet to traffic young boys into Australia and prostituted them to the most powerful pedophiles in Sydney. When the Wollongong mayor, Tony Bevan, and his Lolita Express landed in Sydney Airport, those kids would be immediately shipped to King's Cross, where they will serve all the rich and powerful at a few gay clubs. The police sometimes raid those clubs for liquor license issues. Before the raid, club owners will receive a phone call, a tip-off from the corrupt police. These little boys were frequently forced to jump out of the windows while the police conducted raids. Bevan's pedophile ring was known as the Royal Parties by the Australian elite circles. However, there had been no police investigation into Bevan's associates after his death.
We do have this breaking news. Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, who's the head of the Church of England and spiritual leader of 85 million Anglicans across the globe, has just resigned after an investigation found that he failed to tell police about serial physical and sexual abuse by a volunteer at Christian summer camps as soon as he became aware of it. Again, this is breaking news here on Live Now from Fox. If you are just joining us here, here's what we do know. Pressure on Welby had been building since last Thursday when release of the inquiry's findings kindled anger about a lack of accountability at the highest reaches of the church. Helen Ann Hartley, she's the Bishop of Newcastle, said on Monday that his position was, quote, untenable after some members of the church's National Assembly started a petition calling on Welby to step down because he had, quote, lost the confidence of his clergy. Welby's resignation comes against the backdrop of widespread historical sexual abuse in the Church of England. A 2022 report by the Independent Inquiry Child Sexual Abuse found the deference to the authority of priests, taboos surrounding the discussion of sexuality, and a culture that gave more support to alleged perpetrators than their victims helped make the Church of England a place where abusers could hide.
Never make a doc from scratch again with ClickUp AI's template generator. Just tell it what kind of document you need and any specific details, and the AI will generate a template in seconds tailored for your needs. Whether you're in HR and need an onboarding checklist, a project manager setting up a meeting agenda, or a creator organizing social graphics, ClickUp AI's template generator can help.
The prosecutor's assistant said, "We don't care if you have a decision in another courthouse. We don't have to listen to it unless it's a higher court." And I said, "No worries, the paperwork in front of you is from the Federal Court of Australia, the Family Law Court." And he looked at us as if to say, "Oh shit, are you one of those people?" I'm telling you what I see. His face changed, like a shapeshifter. "Oh my gosh, you're one of those people. You're challenging our authority." I said, "Well, we actually have cases going to Interpol and JAG and Switzerland and Holland." "Oh, this has got to go to the magistrate. We can't touch this." I said, "I know. Because we've got a federal court judge who said, I don't give a damn about the 2 Aboriginal people in the back row. I don't need a kangaroo and all that stuff. I'm a federal court judge. I can do whatever I please in my courtroom." "No, you can't. You broke 50 laws." And it's really hard to get through to people. We have got the way through because our paperwork has gone overseas. It's gone to Albo. It's gone to Penny Wong, that thing. It's gone to Mark Dreyfus, the other thing. And it's gone to their mate, Don Farrell, who is acting and getting ready to be your next Governor General when we get rid of the Constitution. Because Matt Thistlethwaite is the Deputy Minister for the Republic. Are you not getting this? I'm giving you fact. I'm the only one giving you fact. So here we are at the Sunshine Court. I'm missing out on my coffee, which I've got a 5-minute walk to get to. But I want to capture this. Martha's now got a date for the 15th of November to come back in, and we will unload. We'll unload. We are going to have the papers from all these stories from South Australia to from Alan, our paperwork with Lisa about a Victorian court which the judge said he's in a constitutional court with a black logo on a black panel. And everybody, including Lisa's husband, who he is famous, he's on TV, actually said, Derek, I now get what you've been saying. They're trying to hide it in plain sight. I said, this is all I'm trying to do. This is all I'm trying to do. And if we could speak with Ricardo, if we could speak with Guru, if we could speak to these other people, that I am giving a poke, I am. But I'm doing it for a reason. Because we haven't got any time. Wars are getting worse overseas. America they're manufacturing a collapse. And guess what? We're connected to what chaos is going to happen overseas. And all these people having a dig at me and they're coming to my meetings, why don't they just say, Derek, can we talk? And if we've got common ground, we'll go further. If we don't have any common ground, we'll stop. Because I get people every day saying, why don't you talk to them? I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk to anybody. And there's only one thing I want from Rod Culleton, for him to put out that freedom of information that he's proven Kim Beazley was never, ever, ever a purported governor of Western Australia to sign any writs, especially the 2022 federal election writ for the Senate. We've got the proof, and I'm going to do it with two good men, Chris and Steve in Alice Springs. The Northern Territory is not part of our country. There's no connection. Would you get that from a lawyer? No. Will you get that from anybody else? No. You can prove the Northern Territory is not part of Australia. Yep. Yep, I can. That's where we're coming from. So we have a problem. But please don't tell me that we're a sovereign nation. We're not. We are fragmented beyond belief. So, I'm signing off. I'm going to join David, Anthony, Chester with Martha, and we're going to get on with what we have to do next. And then we move on to another court case tomorrow with Chris in Alice Springs. Then we're back at Broadmeadows, north of Melbourne tomorrow with Thursday, 2 cases, and 2 cases on Friday at Broadmeadows again. We are going to unload the whole issue of the kangaroo and who has paid the copyright. If you haven't got it yet, I am so far ahead of the common law groups, with all due respect, who've just woken up that we used to have a constitution. We don't. It's gone. Why? Because this court actually said, and the police said, we don't need other courts. We're a separate business. He didn't say business, but he said we're separate. We don't need to listen to other courts. We do our own thing here. Oh, really? So you're a separate business unit? And he just put his head down. Ladies and gentlemen, you won't get this from anywhere else because I'm actually doing the hard yards in the court every day. 7 cases, 5 days. It just happened. I used to do an average of 3 or 4 a week. This week is 7. Hold on, that's more than double. I can't keep this up unless we combine and join forces and support those brave men and women who are doing the job in the courtroom for all of us. Get it? So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to say be safe and be careful and have a safe afternoon until we see you next time. We're on deck and on plan right now to speak with a lot of paramedics in Queensland that have been thrown onto the street, and the government can't find replacements. But because they didn't follow the COVID regime, the COVID scandemic, they are suffering. They have no prospects. Some of them have lost their wives. They have lost their children. When do we say enough? When? I'm just looking to see, because I've always got people watching and security watching what we're doing, and I don't care, because we've got a job to do. I'm still short of my 1,000 patriots of people who are going to follow my letters. We've done our misinformation and disinformation letter, and unlike all the other groups and councils and little groups out there that have just joined this whole process and try to, and they've got numbers. There's no problem about that. They've got the numbers, but they have no idea what to do next because they're saying, senators, can you please give us an extension? Yeah, I did that in my letter too, and I gave them a caveat. If you don't give us an extension, I'm going to ask Michelle Rowlands, the Minister for Communications that wants to shut me down, if you haven't paid for the kangaroo, there's an international copyright claim coming. I'm looking for 1,000 men and women that are going to join me. I got a lot of people last night asking for my letter. I've got the caveat against Michelle Rowlands, the Minister for Communications, who wants to shut me down. And you, that this stops. Because I can't afford a fine for $600,000. Get it? It's us, now, or it's over. Your call. Help me to share this if you believe I've given anything of value. That Lisa and Martha are fighting for everybody in every state and territory. They're exposing the authority of the police without a kangaroo. That's it. That's it. All right. I'm just holding my laptop. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. We're signing off. Until this time tomorrow, take care, be careful. Bye for now.
Of course, if you're testing to see if someone's 13 or 14 or 15 or 16, you're also testing to see, by definition, if they're 16 plus. So if there's going to be age verification, everybody is going to have to go through an age verification process like that. Yeah. So this isn't just about the privacy or collecting data about kids. This is literally everybody accessing social media. That's how it has to work, isn't it? Yes.
Rich, just use the term age verification. You may not have been in the room when we had a discussion about the distinction between age verification and age assurance. This is an age assurance trial.
This is, if you're going to have age assurance for kids 13, 14, 15 or 16, testing, if they're that age, you're testing everyone's age, and you're doing it at that level of age assurance. And that has privacy and data protection implications for literally everybody accessing social media, doesn't it?
That's one of the reasons why we've commissioned consumer research to look at consumer willingness in particular aspects that are important to them.
Did you know you can use TikTok to transform your side hustle?
Demon is a D-mon. Mon is the moon, meaning emotion.
Of course, if you're testing to see if someone's 13 or 14 or 15 or 16, you're also testing to see...
So yeah, basically it's with that, them bringing in that bill thing for no one under 16's allowed on the internet, basically. It's, well, social media. It's, they're making it so everyone, no matter how old, every single person in Australia, if you want to access social media, you'll have to, again, provide your ID that proves how old you are. So, not just your driver's license, like a birth certificate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's all your information.
Uh-huh. And just wait until the hackers get hold of that. Yeah.
It's a dumb move.
Extremely.
Demon is a D-mon. Mon is the moon, meaning emotion. D.
I know there might have been adjustments over the decades, but today, what is the commonly held definition of life itself?
The way that I consider it is that we actually don't need to define life. We need to figure out a theory that helps us derive the properties of life. So we should be able to predict features of life anywhere it should occur in the universe. So that's been my approach. It's very, theoretical physicist. You need to build theories. You need to explain regularities in nature.
She's got theoretical physics bad.
I love it.
It's
I do.
It's bad in you.
It's never coming out.
Yeah, it's a little fever with you. You got a little fever. You got a little
I'm
theoretical
stuck with it
fever.
for life. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically you're like, let's not worry about identifying. Let's find out what creates the identification
Yes.
in the first place.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that?
So I started, in a true theorist fashion. I had probably like 7 or 8 working definitions that I was trying to find, what's the commonality under them. But a lot of them were about something to do with information structuring matter was kind of the early way I was thinking about it.
Wow, okay, I got you, because then that gets you all the way down to single cells, because even they are carrying information. So if you get to the root of the information and what creates the information, then it may not even be a cell that you're working with. It could be something outside of that.
Yeah, and the cell's a good example because it's very complex and we don't think they can form outside of evolution. So the way that we talk about these ideas now, which is what I'm really excited about, is this theory, assembly theory I've been working on with my collaborator Lee Cronin.
Assembly
theory.
Assembly theory.
It's a theory. As a theorist should do. Yeah, so assembly theory's key conjecture about the nature of life is the only physics that can generate complex objects.
My granddad.
Yeah.
You might be surprised what these
Neil deGrasse fucking wanker. He's always criticizing everyone about what they've found out in their researches and shit like that. Even if it's something that's valid, factual proof, 100%, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
He'll still go, nah, because this, you're wrong.
I hate people like that.
And it's every time that he says that shit, he's been proven wrong what he's saying himself. Yeah. And then he'll go back on what he says over and over. Like his entire career, he's just constantly doing that, criticizing people, fighting with them, telling them they're wrong. Months, years later go by, and he's saying the same shit as what they were saying, and in a way that he says it.
He's a
like,
narcissist.
Yeah.
It's typical narcissism.
Gaslighting narcissist. Yeah. Yep. He reminds me of fucking, what's his called? Alfred Bell, I think it was. Edison. There was Nikola Tesla and there was Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison was constantly criticizing and saying Nikola Tesla's a crackpot, all of his shit's fucking shit. Yeah. And then he stole it all. Yeah. And he goes, this is my stuff and it works. Yeah.
It started then. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Fucking dickheads.
Entities and powers that be are allowed to do if you refuse to take your meds in a psych ward. Here's the case of an old lady who went to our psych ward. She was experiencing dementia, but it was just the very, very beginning of it. So she was fully cognitively there with a couple of minor slips. So when the doctor is trying to throw all this medication on her, she's like, no, I don't need all of this. I just came here so I can get groups and get out of the situation I was in. Doctor says, I'm missing out on an opportunity to bill your insurance and get money. You're not about to waste my time. I'm about to tell you, yes, you must take these medications. And she could rightfully refuse to take medications, which she did. But as a result, the doctor said, I'm going to take you to court, which the doctor is legally allowed to do if he thinks that you should be on medication for any reason while in the psych ward and you refuse to take your meds. Psych ward stays are usually 3 to 7 days, but if they decide to set a court date for you, you're there until your court date is. So if it's a month from there, if it's 2 weeks from there, 2 days, you have to stay that extra amount of time. So that was already an inconvenience for her. Me as a technician, I escorted her to court. I was accompanying her as the shuttle took us to court for her hearing. Here's the traumatizing part. This old white lady grew up in good old America, what she would consider good old America for herself, right? So when she was told she had to go to court, she's like, no, I'm going home. And the psychiatrist is like, no, you're going to court. You want to gaslight a mental health disorder out of somebody? This is how you do it. So while she's waiting for court, she can refuse all the meds in which she wants until she gets to court and the judge determines whether she should be on the meds or not. As I escort her to court and we're walking into the building, the police receive us at the entrance. We have to walk through the metal detectors. Meanwhile, their protocol, and for their safety, they handcuff all patients when they go to the courtroom. And not all facilities are like this, especially if you can read the room, realize, this is an old and feeble lady. But they cuff her. And as you can imagine, she's sitting there like, baffled, afraid, and appalled. It wasn't her time to see the judge yet. She had like a half hour. You would think maybe they'll put patients in the waiting room. Nope. This is how they treat psych patients that go to psych court at this facility. Can't speak for all facilities, and I've been in facilities where they've treated them far better, but I do got to tell the truth. They put her in this holding cell. It looked really bizarre the way this cell was set up, because you go inside this room,
and you have the offices where the sheriff is there, and you got the deputies, and then there's this bench where people can sit, and then right across on the other side of the wall, there's these holding cells that literally are bars, just like jail. There's one bench in there, dim lighting, and you just sit in there until it's your time to go up. It just goes to show the stereotyping that happens even from our government, thinking that every psych patient that comes in is somebody so dangerous that they have to have a cage, a jail, for them to sit in. A lot of patients have zero criminal history. This woman was one of them. And she seemingly for the first time got to experience America's injustices that many people face. And even though she waited in that cell for 30 minutes, oh my goodness, the amount of dignity that left this woman. She looked at the police, which I can tell she compared to the police of her childhood, and she was in complete disbelief at the fact that they would put her in that cage, that she was coming before a judge to potentially be put on medication that she feels she doesn't need. And she lacks all the power to oppose. Well, it's finally her time to see the judge. They unlock the jail, they recuff her, and walk her up. I'm standing next to her as she goes before the judge, and it's crazy how psych court goes. I have to probably do some videos separately for y'all to be educated on how grueling this process can be. But basically, they bring in witnesses from the hospital, the psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. They bring up all the notes, even the notes from technicians from groups to see how has this patient been acting? Have they been on meds? Are there any actions or inactions during their psychiatric visit that could justify them needing to be put on medication? And it's the prosecuting attorney or whatever that person's role is, job to convince the judge that this person, this patient, needs a high amount of treatment, including medication. Typically what they go for is they say, yo, the standard, we need the standard, judge. We need up to 30 days inpatient, or even up to maybe 60 or 90 days inpatient sometimes, and then 30 days outpatient. Inpatient where you're in the facility, you can't get out. Outpatient where you're coming to get your meds, get therapy, etc. on your own terms according to times that you set up. She trembled before that judge, and the judge ended up assigning her to be mandated to take medications, and the judge explained to her in layman's terms, hey, look, if you don't take these medications, then you're going to leave the staff no choice but to hold you down and administer these medications via injection. I could tell that she wanted to plead her own case and share the fact that she doesn't need any medications and that she feels like her rights are being stepped all over, but she couldn't find the strength within her to do that. And so when the judge is asking me about my experience with her, I was just honest. I'm letting them know, hey, she's at groups, she's fully lucid, she's able to have conversations, she's seen a recreational therapy, making pictures, crafts, etc. It's been documented that she has some form of dementia symptoms, but they're very inconsistent and way too early to tell at this point and per the reports. But me as a technician, I'm not allowed to give any further recommendations on what I think should happen. But I can strategically state my opinion and experience with the patient in a way that if the judge is really looking for information, it could sway the opinion. I've been in situations where I've had to speak up has made a difference in the patient's well-being. And it's one of the reasons why I volunteer to go to court so often when I used to work back there. So yeah, this old lady, she was given some type of psych med. I can't remember because the doctor was telling her that it could be an onset of dementia, but the psychosis she experiences, he labeled it something else. He might have had her on the schizophrenic spectrum, but I don't want to mislabel. I can't remember. And so therefore, she was brought back to our facility, had to do up to an additional 30 days and take the medication that the doctor was trying to prescribe her in the first place. And this is exactly how Big Pharma creates slaves out of citizens. It has a way of finding people that are the most marginalized, whether they're old, whether they're mentally handicapped, whether they're disabled, whether they don't have a family or community around them to vouch for them. And as a result, the doctor gets to bill the insurance company and make a killing. And then all of Big Pharma and the people that make the meds get to add another patient to their medication premium subscription. It's super, super, super important to know your rights when you're going into a psych ward. 9 times out of 10, if you're going in willingly, you'll come out fine. But you must be a capitalist. You got to go in and extract what it is that you're looking for, and don't let it be the other way around. You have to know your rights. You have to know the certain things that you can say to give these psychiatrists and other workers pause. It's like when I get pulled over by the police, and I just got to know my rights, know what things I can say, do, not do, what all they're allowed to say and do and not do, and to be sure I document just in case this needs to be referenced later. Because when you have all those things lined up, it makes people less likely to try to F with you. And I'm a freedom fighter that's not for the system. I'm for the people. There are great resources in these institutions, y'all. But like a thirsty person that's lost in the desert, if they come across that water and they don't inspect it, they'll mess around and drink more than just water when they take a sip. Hey, if you made it this far, let me know by saying I made it in the comment section. Make sure you follow for more stories. And also, I'll be giving y'all the Underground Railroad on how to navigate these systems from my 7 years of experience working in psych. Drop a follow. I go live every week. And if you have any questions or stories that you would like to submit, you can send it to jayspsychwardstories@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about this video, and I'll see you on the next story.
This is hilarious. There is a guy on TikTok who has started a business where you can submit a claim about your boss anonymously, and then he will go to your work and cuss out your boss.
So they make us into persons.
And then they can apply these statutes on it, because the statutory law does not apply to human beings, because it's not law until it's consented to by the government. Statute is law, but only becomes the force of law if it's consented to by the government. So we've freaked out
by the government.
By the government, you're the government.
So I can say that to anyone who wants to enforce a statute upon me, if I choose, I can say I don't consent.
You can say that, but you're being made an offer. So it has to come in contract form. So you're being made an offer. So what they'll do is they'll offer you something, and in a contract there has to be offer, consideration, and acceptance. So you have to be made the offer, you have to consider the offer, and you have to accept the offer.
I'm not aware of having been made any offers about any statute.
No, but you are being made an offer.
Okay,
because commercial law works that way.
And you're saying it's all commercial law, that every statute is...
The statute law was wrote specifically for the powers that be to manipulate, to protect themselves, to do exactly what they wanted to create, and to control us as if we were in slavery. It's the evolution of slavery, that's all it is. It's very, very simply done as well. But you have to look at the law, and you look at the great laws that have gone through in this country, Declaration of Rights, 1688-89, Bill of Rights, Act of Settlement, the Act of Union, all these documents that are these very, very powerful, famous statutes that are still, one of them is still in the law books. Oxford's law book just recently, they brought one out, and it's still in there, and it's still known to the Act of 1701, the Act of Settlement, because it is so important to what they do and what they've actually achieved with that. And they needed these statutes in place. The statute law is very, very, it's right in the form of a constitution. If you look at what constitutions are, they're the fundamental principles the government adopts to make for society to conform to. Society being the biggest word there, being the socially dominant members of any community. Also translated as a partnership, where all parties have to consent.
So if I get this right then, what you're saying is that apart from laws, which are different, statutes are all passed with some sort of presumed consent from us?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay, excuse me.
A statute law is a negotiable instrument. It's a bill. It's a money-making order. Right? The government, as being the cabinet, the Privy Council, will take the statute and they'll meet at number 10 with the bankers and they'll sell it to them.
So they pass a law? Statute?
No, they make a contract. It's not law. It's a contract.
Okay.
They get this contract and they'll go to the bankers and they'll say to the bankers, the private sector, they'll say, we've got this statute and we reckon it's worth $6 billion.
Well, for instance, it might be something like we're going to put up speed cameras everywhere.
Ideal example, okay? We've got this statute, we reckon it could generate a revenue of about $6 billion. That's fine. Okay.
Per annum.
Per annum. Will you lend us that on the strength of that, but we'll give you everything in excess to cover the principal sum plus the interest. So what they do is they sell it. They sell it to the bankers for the money.
In advance of passing the law?
Not passing the law. It's not a law, it's a statute. So what happens is, they sell this to the bankers. They've then got the police as two different things. The police are, the human being is a policeman or woman who is there to uphold the law, serve and protect, never deny or delay right or justice to any individual who lives in this country, no matter where they're from. Then you've got the police officer. Now, a police officer is a fiction. A police officer is a corporate employee who's enforcing statutes to make sure the bankers get their money back.
Open the shipping containers. Hey, yo, let's talk about something that's shown up on my FYP for the last 12 to 24 hours. It's really gone viral, if you will. Open the shipping containers. So apparently in Crab Park in Vancouver, there was a woman that was screaming that she had heard, she was going up and down the neighborhood, telling them she heard voices from the shipping containers at the port. And I found it really interesting because, you know, I go to Google and I research the news, but when you research Crab Park in Vancouver, all it talks about is ejecting the homeless population. So it's a diversion. But these videos have become really, really prevalent over the last 12 hours. If you search the hashtag, there are a lot of videos, but maybe things are coming really, really close. Who knows? Let me know what y'all think about it.
Alright, so I'm trying to understand this legalese bullshit that they have out there because it makes it very difficult to define where the corporatocracy finishes and where the living man and women start. Because when you define people as persons in any act, expressions used to denote persons generally include a body politic or corporate as well as an individual. You need to understand that as well as means something different. As well as means interchangeably used but implies in addition to. As well as is a conjunction that means in addition to. So why is individual, as in a corporate addition to? Why isn't it the way that it should be written, which would be includes a body politic, comma, corporation, comma, corporate entity, or an individual? I mean, that's got to be simple English to explain what they're trying to say when they're defining persons. But when you see that the only two options really are corporate including individual, yeah, that's when you start to wonder, what does that mean? And when you go back and have a look at some of the work of the likes of Romley Stewart and see that the small English written first name combined with the capitalized surname, when they pull those two together on one certificate, it is an incorporation. Think about that. Because then when you have a look at it and start to say that the inclusion of something as part of a whole, right, incorporation, the inclusion of something as part of a whole, incorporation. It's all written quite well, just making sure that we don't start questioning the way that we would speak. But we wouldn't write that ourselves. That's not how we would write it. In fact, if you write that sentence into any of the autocorrects, it would probably fix it for you. Think about that.
If you're wondering how small businesses are selling out their products and going crazy viral on TikTok, this is how they're doing it. They're running ads on their videos with the TikTok ad manager. Contrary to what a lot of people might think, this is actually a very affordable way to grow your page, up your sales, get more traffic to your website. Whatever your business objectives are with being on TikTok, TikTok ad manager is what's going to help you achieve those goals. So if you've yet to try this out, tap here to try TikTok ads today.
In 1995, right, I was sitting in my lounge room in Lithgow when I heard the familiar knock, bang, 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 at the door, and it was the police. I fucking remember looking out the curtain and thinking, what the fuck's going on, man? There was two women dressed in like black suits and a guy, right? And they looked like fucking men in black, and I thought, what the fuck? And they said, King's Cross Police. And I was like, fuck, man. I thought I'd escaped all that shit, you know, like it's, I hadn't been up the cross for a while, you know, what have I done, what's going on? I had enough.
If you're one.
open to thinking on this. Hey y'all, let's talk about something that's shown.
If you're wondering,
In 1995, right, I was sitting in my lounge room in the lift gate when I heard the familiar knock. Bang, 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 at the door, and it was the police. I fucking remember looking out the curtain and thinking, what the fuck's going on, man? There was two women dressed in like black suits and a guy, right? And they looked like fucking men in black, and I thought, what the fuck? And they said, King's Cross Police. And I was like, fuck, man. I thought I'd escaped all that shit, you know, like I hadn't been up the cross for a while, you know, what have I done, what's going on? I open up the door and they say to me, we're from the Woodrow Commission, and you've been identified by multiple people as a victim of SA abuse, right? So I agreed, in principle, to go back to the police station and share my story with the coppers, right? But what I want to speak to is a few things here. One is that the statement that I gave them isn't the statement that you read, that is available to be read, that particular statement. They fucking doctored my statement, and I'm fucking telling you that's the fact, guys. What actually happened was they said to me, we want to talk to you about two abusers, Paul Shepard Jones and Ken Fogarty. Do you know about these two men? I said, yeah, I do. I said, both of which abused me, right? So I'm happy to share with you that statement. And I said, I'm happy to help you and the Woodrow Commission, but with conditions. I said, that condition is that you go after the Homeless Children's Association. People like Simon Davies, Grant Morris, Richard Webb, Harry Godolphin, Annette Crowe, and the board made up of people like Bob Hawke, I told you, and Rob Blackmore and other high-profile men like that. But anyway, I ended up going through 2 court cases. I was forced to go to court in Sydney, back and forth, but they didn't do fucking diddly squat, right? It wasn't until in 2010 that I went to see my lawyer and I said, listen, I've been to the Royal Commission, the Woodrow Commission, and I've told them the fucking truth, that nothing's been done, and I said, I can't live with it. I said, someone needs to do something about my story. So they took my story to Parramatta Police Station to get phone, and they spoke to me. When I shared my story with them, I remember them sitting there like this. They're like, yeah, bro, it's a good story, man. About 6 weeks later, they come back to me and they said, listen, mate, we've spoken to kids all over the country, and every single one of them has parroted your story. We want to create a strike force called Strike Force Boys, but in order to do that, we need you need to wear a wire. They said alarm bells off in my melon, mate. Wear a fucking wire. Are you fucking kidding me? I said that goes against the grain of everything I've ever been taught. But then in hindsight, I think to myself, A, we're talking about predators who prey on children, and B, these predators are continuously abuse other children. So they don't speak up. That's more of a fuck thing than speaking up. So I agreed to wear a wire. And I was all wired up and I went into Parramatta and I met up with a guy named Grant Leroy Morris. And I remember when we did it, there was all these trucks going. I had to fucking bunny hop sort of past all them so I could catch them in the right place so I could be heard. And then I ran into Grant Morris and he was given a phone. That was a dodgy phone, you know, it was a phone that was between Johnny Hoppers and him. And he ended up ringing me up a couple of weeks later drunk. And he starts talking. And he was triggering me all the stuff he spoke about. But by the time he finished, the police ends up ringing me up and saying, hey, we got him. And I had introduced him to an undercover Johnny Hopper detective. And one by one I took them down. Paul Jones, Ken Fogarty, Grant Morris, and Simon Davies. But as I've said multiple times, there is a woman who is complicit in this story. Her name is Annie Crowe. And I cannot fathom for the fucking life of me how this woman who went down the street and literally recruited children and took them to the refuge, who knew they were being abused. She sat at the coffee shop. I was there as she spoke with me in graphic detail about which man had been with which child did what. All these different discussions. And I was just too young to understand. But you know, in 1982, I was abused by Simon Davies, the CEO and leading privacy advocate in the world. But the CEO of the Homeless Children's Association, I spoke to Annie. I told her I've been got paid. And she sat me down the next day, as Grant Morris did as well, and convinced me that this is how King's Cross works. You're overreacting. Simon Davies loves you. Said all these things to a little boy, but in my head, you know what I heard? that refuge where all my friends live. If I speak up, we're all going to get kicked out and live on the street. And I'm the problem. If I just shut up, everything will be all right. No. I was silent as a child. I will never silence as an adult. Never again.
Lyle and Eric Menendez were motivated by greed. They were as unlikable pair of defendants as you'll ever see.
My dad killed my mum.
He was able to resume a normal life with his children.
Amir was very much a narcissistic psychopath.
How could this happen in a small community where everybody knows everybody?
I do not think whatever storm he concocted was to kill my mother and brother.
They end up taking it out on complete strangers. And then we have this type of thing of the government trying to stop it from happening. No, woman. No, woman, jag kan... Ni bjer så det. Vad är det din tar där det har? Nej, tänk så. Okej. Haha, tänk så. Ni mer tränligt där, woman. Nej, ni mer tränligt. Ni mer konstigt där. Ni ber damen, ni ber sådana. Woman, jag för sin son, ni ber sådana. Ni mer tränligt sådana. Ni kör down, ni ber sådana. Ni så.
That was our China correspondent, Steve McDonald, really in an altercation there with a local person in Zhou. He is outside where this car rally took place.
Now, believe it or not, we are living in the greatest incarnation humanity has ever seen. I don't know if you noticed, but the world is crumbling. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, right? It means it's the end of the old world and the beginning of the rebirth of a new world. The old world was filled with greed and control and power over others. And we have entered into the age of Aquarius where now it has become a we situation. Many of us are on the healing journey to come back home to ourselves, to come back to the power within ourselves, to the truth of who we are, to unconditional love that we are. I am you and you are me. But they've kept us separate for so long because when we are divided, when we are separate, we are weak, we are powerless. And we hate each other, and we're angry against each other, and this person's doing that, and that person's doing this, and I'm against you, and you're against me, when in reality, all of that is illusions. They keep us separate because they know when we unite together, we are stronger, because we are one, we are cut from the same cloth. It's not about your skin color, it's not about your race, it's not about your religion. It's about the beingness of who we are, that is you, and you are me, and I am you. So many of us are being called to go into the fear that we carry, to go into the hatred, to go into the unworthiness, to go into the shame, to go into the guilt, whatever it is that you carry, you are being called to heal those aspects of you so you can come back to the remembrance of who you are, and who you are is just pure love. It is just pure power. But in order for us to get there, to go on the hero's journey, we must trek through.
Apparently there's a way to expose the glitch in the Matrix. And to show us that we're not crazy with these Mandela effects like Richard Simmons having a headband. All you have to do is use an old phone and put it over the video or clip of whatever the...
Lyle? In 1995, right, I was sitting in my lounge room in the lift go when I heard the familiar knock. Bang, 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 at the door, and it was the kid.
Now, believe it or not, we are living in the greatest incarnation humanity has ever seen. I don't know if you noticed, but the world is crumbling. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, right?
Apparently there's a way to expose the glitch in the Matrix. And to show us that we're not crazy with these Mandela effects like Richard Simmons having a headband. All you have to do is use an old phone and put it over the video or clip of whatever the Mandela effect is, and it will show you the reality of what we know it to be. Here's another one.
Pet bond, pet.
Being sovereign in court, part 5. Let's talk about it.
Content warning. Engagement in any activity that you are not fully comprehending or are well prepared for will result in severe damage to you or others. This is merely a fictional entertainment video only.
State of Coca-Cola versus John Smith.
John Smith has declined the services of the public defender, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, DUI, expired driver's license, expired tags, attachment plates not assigned.
May I enter the bar while reserving all unalienable rights, titles, and interests?
Who are you?
Amicus Curiae. You may refer to me as the paramount security interest holder.
The child of a narcissistic parent.
Tartaria was everywhere, and history as we know it.
Just dude?
Hi guys, I just wanted to do an update on a video that was shared last week done by my mother in regards to 30 children that was taken from Alice Springs down here to South Australia. So this came to my attention a week ago from a couple of colleagues of mine, and as soon as I was made aware of the situation about the 30 children, I gave my mother a call, and obviously, as you all know, she was onto it straight away. So I was initially told that 30 children was brought here to our local community, 30 Indigenous children of Alice Springs, brought interstate here to our community. Firstly, I was told because their parents were on ice. The second reason I was told was that their parents were nowhere to be found, which that was alarming, so that's why I called my mother straight away. I was later informed that there would be a local Aboriginal community meeting in regards to these 30 children, so I thought, okay, that's good, and I've been waiting to hear the time and date. I was already told the place of the meeting, so I've been waiting for the time and date, and almost a week on I still haven't been told a time or a date of this meeting. Now, since my mother had done the video in regards to these 30 children, it has been shared on Facebook and has the local community questioning and asking if this is true and where are these children. Now I've been out and about over the past week and I've seen quite a few members of our community, our Indigenous community, and everyone's asking, and no one knows. No one's heard about these children. No one knows about these children. I've asked, do you know about a meeting? Do you know anything? Anyone that I've spoken to in the community doesn't know. So our whole local community is aware of this, and the whole community are talking, and no one's seen the children. No one knows anything about the children, which is concerning. Now, if this was just a rumour or an allegation, no one's come forward to say that this hasn't happened. No one's come forward to say anything. So since this video was made and has been shared and the local community has got wind of this, my mother has received a visit from the police. Now, the fact that no one knows anything about the children here, a phone call was made to Territory families in Alice Springs and asking by an Aranda elder why the 30 children were moved interstate instead of not being put in kinship caring and removed from country. And the comment made by this staff member was they were moved for various reasons. So even though the children have not been seen or there is not much awareness around the 30 children here in South Australia, in our community, it has been confirmed by staff at Territory Families in Alice Springs that yes, 30 children were brought interstate from Alice Springs, Northern Territory to South Australia. Now, the allegations were that the children's parents were either on ice or nowhere to be seen. Ice is devastating all of our communities across this country right now. ISIS devastating a lot of families right now, so it's affecting our whole country. So moving children interstate instead of keeping them on country and with kinship carers seems quite extreme. And do their parents know if this in fact is true? So I just wanted to update everyone who's wondering what's going on, where are these children, do we know anything, is this true? Are the babies safe? We are still trying to gather information. We now have family and some people in Alice Springs trying to gather information. The community's all over it here, which is good. Everyone's aware, but I just want to ask that everyone keep an eye out. 34 blood kids can't go unseen. If this is true, the South Australian community, all Aboriginal communities, if you know anything about these children and know that they're safe, just let us know. We just want to know that the children are safe and that they are in the right hands and that they're protected, they're safe. This is what we want to know. This is our main concern. And yeah. So yeah, we will continue to keep digging and keep finding out about these 30 children. Just ask that everyone keeps an eye out. Let us know if you see or hear anything. Because it's blackfellas or a yarn. The yarn goes around real fast. This is what happened here with that video. The yarn got around really super fast. I even had elders coming from next door asking. Everyone's asking. Everyone's been yarning over the weekend in our local community. And so yeah, just keep out, pray for these babies, pray for these children, that they're safe, and that we find them, and that we locate these kids and we know that they're safe. That is our number one goal here. Thank you for everyone's messages, your concern. We will continue to keep you updated and find out where these babies are. God bless you all, and thank you.
The truth is, the archons, or the handlers of the simulation,
somewhere along the way, you begin to find cracks in the belief system. You begin to find reasons that don't work quite well. That's the analytical thing coming into it. It says, hey, wait a minute, something wrong here. This doesn't work out. 2 and 2 makes 6. No, wrong. Try again. You begin to find out that there are some holes in the cracks, and that's when you begin to regrow and begin so that successively you begin to start on your way out again, and you begin to have a higher and higher orbit as you learn more, and in these successive lives, till finally you got escape velocity, and then you do go home, and that's what it's all about. If you know about it, then you can have fun. It's where you don't know about it, it's where it gets dangerous, and that is that we become addicted to being human. And so after we exit this particular life sojourn, we're saying instead of going home and what I call having escape velocity to go home, something's happened in living that life. We've picked up a load factor. There was friction along the way, and that represents it. So instead of moving out and having escape velocity, we start turning around that, and it's our decision, no one else's. That's important. Our decision. We say, well, I think I'll go back just once more.
Under the Earth, there are 7 more planets that are disks.
What?
Yeah.
7 flat worlds?
Pretty much. I'm the only one who can show you from astrology, from the Bible, and from the East, and from all traditions, how they all syncretize and concur that the Earth is a stationary horizontal planet. You have to do it like that. If you don't do it like that, you can't do it properly. You can't just have one angle. You can't just say, oh, all the scientific experiments that have been conducted prove, George Airy, James Bradley, Sagnac, Michelson-Morley, they all prove that the Earth is stationary, and that's your one angle. You can't just have one angle. I'm coming from the Jewish tradition. I'm coming from Bhagavad Gita. I'm showing how the Bible proves it with great etymological proofs, and no one else is doing that. I do that and all the other angles.
Is this a dimension? Are we living in an energy force that has multiple layers?
You know the Kabbalistic tree, right? There it is there, the 10 Sephiroth, your 10 fingers. There's Kether, and there's Malkuth, the earth. So is it a dimension? Yes, it is. But it's all these things, from Kether to earth, which is ether to earther, same word. So if you're asking, what's the earth? Well, it's just ether in a gross, more solidified form.
I'm not allowed to say certain things, but this is how they hide everything. So if you want to understand what you are, where we are, this ebook will literally unveil that to you.
Dude, what the heck? Your business videos are going so viral. How'd you do that?
If I'm being honest, it's because I use TikTok Ads Manager.
What's that?
It took my business videos from a couple hundred views to thousands and even millions.
Well, how can they reach your website then?
Actually, yeah, you can link your own landing page. Not to mention, 1 in 3 TikTok users have actually bought products they've seen on the app, so this really works.
Okay, I have to try this now.
Yeah, so if you're looking to increase brand visibility and drive sales, have to try TikTok ads today.
Hi everyone, so I promised you all that I would go through step-by-step process so we're all on the same page, because I'm getting a lot of questions from everybody how they proceed. So here we go. Reclaim your security. Stage 1, power of attorney over your birth certificate. Now, did you know that you can reclaim control over your birth certificate like you're seeing on my videos when I actually say I have a power of attorney over my birth certificate? Okay, so here's how to start. Number 1, get a copy of your birth certificate. Request a copy of your original birth certificate from the hospital where you were born using the Freedom of Information Act. Alternatively, if you can't get it that way, go to birth, deaths and marriages in your country and ask them for a copy, and I want you to say this so you actually get it. Just say it's that you want to create your own family tree. That way they won't question you, otherwise they probably won't give it to you. Then number 2, understand your bond document. Your birth certificate is actually a bond record of your birth. Now the numbers up the top are the bond numbers, which sell you as stock. So it represents a transfer from your mother to the government, making you a part of the country's financial obligation, something that you had nothing to do with or no say in whatsoever. This practice dates back to the Sesta V Act of 1666. So if you want to look that up, go and check it out and find out how the Roman Vatican did that by enslaving all of mankind under this document. Number 3, establish a power of attorney. Now, you need to find out who the grantor of your birth certificate is. Whether it was your mum or dad or both or a guardian, you need to have a look on your birth certificate. It'll say the word grantor. Now, that's the person who endorsed and signed off on your birth certificate. Have them sign a power of attorney over your birth certificate number.
It's insane to me the amount of people who don't realize how brainwashed they are.
What do y'all think is happening? This whole situation's getting a little bit fishy. It almost seems like they're...
No, you're not paying just to test the game. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Steve...
Are you suggesting we should shut down the internet? No, but you don't own the internet. I'm asking you about you and your responsibility and your platform. And so I see how you feel now. You don't agree. We don't agree on that. Yes, you want censorship, and I don't. No, I don't want censorship. Yes, you do. No, I want responsibility. I think you desperately want censorship. No, if I want censorship, you want censorship so bad you can taste it. No, it's not true. It's not true. I think that there's right and wrong. And I think that there should be guardrails. And I believe in free speech as much as you. I would fight. I don't disagree. I don't agree with a lot of what you put out on social media, but I will fight for your right to be able to say it. Great. Okay, so listen, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, all right? That's been a target of yours lately on that. If you heard it.
Rothschild family history. This is an antique family photo. A lot of you want to know what it meant. Who was the nanny with the horns? It's not a nanny. It has to do with like this tradition, custom, ritualistic ball. And it's called the Rothschild Surrealist Ball. And it started way back then. Yesterday I told you about their family history and who they are. What they want the world to know. Wikipedia has a whole bunch of stuff on that. But I'm going to tell you what Wikipedia won't tell you. This means something. It's not just a weird costume. Every costume has a lot of symbolic meaning. Rothschilds are real party animals. They have been hosting the weirdest, most elaborate parties for hundreds of years. Hundreds. Someone asked me if that was the nanny. The real question is, do you see how tall that entity is? Keep that in mind. The horned figure has to do with some people called the Chatu. The Chatu are Freemasons from ancient Egypt. The Chatu was the people that helped Amun-Ra escape when there was the Second Pyramid War. You know, when the Anunnaki bloodlines started warring with each other because Marduk wanted to be in command and he wanted to kick out Enlil and Enki, his father and his uncle. All about that. And it also can go back all the way to the lands of Canaan and the worshipping of Baal, Baal. You know, the demon with the horns, with the go-ahead. So every time that they host one of these elaborate balls, you're always going to have someone that's wearing horns, a deer head, goat head, horn. Someone has to be, because it's part of the tradition, it's part of the ritual. These parties are also a ritual. Important families like them will call them family traditions. I call them rituals. So the tradition is the hypothetical ritual. These parties are not just parties where you go, you have fun, and you dress up. There are after-party activities also, which include the ancient tradition of hunting down the stag. I really think that that movie about the bride that was marrying into that millionaire family, and they all did this weird game that they went around, trying to get her at the end, and if they didn't get her by the next day, then she won. You know what I'm talking about? That's the kind of after party I'm talking about. You know, these family traditional things, which intrigue so many people on so many levels. Now, if you'd like to know more about how they descend directly from this high priesthood line that used to worship Ra, and how they came into power through the ancient Egyptian god Ra, follow for more, because that's going to be my next video.
There is absolutely no basis at all for thinking the world is flat. Nobody in human history, as far as I know, has thought the world was flat.
For those of you who do not know, this is Brian Cox. He is a mainstream physicist who went to a University of Manchester for astronomy and physics. So I want to ask ChatGPT. Brian Cox is a mainstream scientist who is most likely very well versed in the history of the heliocentric model, correct?
Yes.
Someone with his level of education would indeed know the history of the heliocentric model and know that it used to be a geocentric model, and even before that, the ancient cultures believed it was a geocentric flat model, correct?
Yes.
So you don't believe that there really is any realm of possibility that he would not know about the history of ancient cultures believing that the Earth was flat?
Correct. It's highly unlikely he wouldn't know about that history.
So, if you were to say something like, no one in history has ever believed that the Earth was flat, then would that most likely mean he's not being entirely truthful?
Correct. That would likely be inaccurate or misleading.
Would you explain to me what a straw man fallacy is?
A straw man fallacy occurs when someone misrepresents or oversimplifies an opposing argument to make it easier to attack, rather than addressing the actual argument. It's like setting up a weaker version of the argument, the straw man, and then knocking it down, avoiding the real issue.
Okay, so by saying that no one in history has ever believed that the Earth was flat, that would be strawmanning the position of the historical ancient depictions of Earth?
Yes, it would be a straw man fallacy because it misrepresents the historical belief that some ancient cultures viewed the Earth as flat, oversimplifying or ignoring that aspect of history.
Thank you, ChatGPT.
I cannot conceive of a reason why anybody would think that the world is flat.
The question is real and it looks like me.
The thing about depression is that it can look like functionality. It can look like getting up every morning, going to work, coming home exhausted, and being able to do many things that people think we can't do. But we can. You just do it while suffering. You deserve a space where you're seen and heard in your depression. You gotta help them provide that space for you.
The cats taught me things that are undeniable about how to not stress out another living. And here's the beauty. Sometimes we get so enamored with words, beautiful words, and we say, well, I'm telling you such compelling arguments about why you should do this, why you should listen to reason, why, I mean you no harm. And you try to explain yourself, well, why aren't they listening to me? And you have to realize that when you're dealing with people, especially people who are dysregulated because they've been through trauma, you're dealing with a very, very, very deep level that words do not penetrate. And you start to realize it's not the words I'm saying, it's little things I don't really normally pay attention to, like my vocal tone, like speaking too harshly, maybe too loud, my volume's too loud, too scary, too intense, my eye contact is too intense, I'm making quick movements, sudden noises. And normally we don't think about that, but the cats taught me, because the cats will not tolerate anything that stresses them. The cats make it very, very clear. When they are stressed, when they are uncomfortable, they run and hide. So I learned from the cats how to make another living being feel calm, feel safe, and ultimately, after a long time, feel connected.
Instead of getting a personal assistant, you should get a second brain. Let me explain. So this AI follows you when you work, learns from your habits, and then gives you contextual assistance. What does that mean? It means that it pulls information from old documents and meeting notes to answer any questions that you ask it. It can also update you on your team's progress without you having to waste time asking them yourself. So make sure you tap link on this video and try click up Brain and create a workspace today.
The world is in half time. This is half time here before it always sells it again and it's half again. I think the world is actually taking place. But money doesn't appear magically in your account or my account, and you and I need to position ourselves for a win. Whatever country you're in, you need to find a job that is an essential skill, firstly, and double down on it. Sexy jobs are going to get cut, you do not need them. Platforms like this, they're not secure for income, and you need essential skills. Carpentry, electricians, diesel mechanics, engineers. For women, nurses, midwifery, teachers, educators, childcare workers, do not bother with the sexy jobs, like travel influencing, Lululemon, flight attendants. I mean, the other day I booked flights and we got more than half the plane to ourselves. Because right now, the upper and middle class are about to bottom out. We need to make sure we stand in that. If you are in Australia and New Zealand, hold off on buying a roof over your head, because when the DG things are put in place, the algorithms do better math than us, will calculate how much you make versus how much you spend. And based on that, everyone will be given a score. I drive around and I see mobile homes, smart. This is a viable option, including those caravans and house shares with family or friends to avoid the lending system. Also, Australia and New Zealand, your SUPER is another type of TAX disguised as help in your later years. Move it into an SMSF before it gets spent. America is becoming a sinking ship. No one wants to take pleasure in watching. And your first show is tomorrow to see who's the most equipped to steer this sinking ship to hopefully reclaim some of what you've lost. I want to see the land of free actually free. America has always had that spirit of unity and a culture of honor. And I think the rest of the world needs to